Hello, it's Rafael Gutierrez, and welcome to our channel. Today I'm actually going to talk about something that's really probably more important for anyone who owns a school in martial arts or is thinking of bringing their kids into martial arts than most of those things I talk about. And that's this. A while ago, I had a student tell me about how he was taking classes at another college, and he mentioned the martial art class that I teach at where I work. And apparently the professor said something like, "Oh, so it's a blood sport. You guys learn to fight and you do this." And when the student told me that he told him, "No, look, this is what we do," he started talking about the ideas, and the professor said, "Well, the class is about to start. Just shut him down." Like I said, college is supposed to be about exchanging ideas, and professors should be protected to say certain things, but they should have some evidence behind it. And to shut down a student without letting him talk because he disagrees with you really goes against everything, especially when you brought up the subject yourself. Now, about 3 hours after that, I was went to I went online and I saw what one of my friends had posted, and he posted that the medical association of the country he lived in. I won't mention the country. If you know what it is, you can put it down, and you can, if you find the director who actually wrote this article, you can put his name down and call him an imbecile if you want. That's fine. But what he actually said is that this country's medical association wants all combat sports banned for children. That's actually the direct quote from the website from that medical organization. Now, why they said why they wanted all combat sports banned? They said they promote violence in children, and there's more injury. There is more of a chance of head injury. Well, first thing you actually want to know is, well, they use the name combat sport, but what's the definition of combat sport? And I found this in a different website. Combat sport is any martial art or sport demonstrating personal violence or where the victory or point is scored by striking, kicks, hits, grapple with, or throwing or punching one of or more participants. If you actually think about it, a martial sport, a combat sport, is any martial art. If you're doing Tai Chi and you're saying, well, these movements here are showing a block or kick or hit. If you're doing a kick, you're a combat sport. If you're in wrestling, that's a combat sport according to this. If you're in kickboxing, combat sport, karate, combat sport, it doesn't matter if what martial art it is. Based on this definition, you are a combat sport, and you have some medical associations who are making the mistake of allowing their leaders to go into different aspects, which will actually end up hurting the organization in the long term. And there's a reason why. Already, because of different things, um, the perceived vision of corruption that some people have, the idea that there are certain things that happen behind the scenes that businesses can pay off have actually made a lot of medical associations less powerful. What I mean by that is medical associations can say, we need you to do X, Y, Z to be healthy. And most people are no longer believing it because of stupid things like what this country's medical association is doing. Trying to pick a fight with something for no other reason but because of a perception they have. Or maybe it's some idea that they come about once upon a time, or someone pushing a political agenda. It doesn't matter why they're trying to ban combat sports, but that's actually one of the big things that we have to look at. Now, the question is there any evidence for this? Now, head injury, obviously, yes, it does have long-term effects, and those can actually be mitigated by changing certain rules for certain martial arts. For instance, if you have any idea that head trauma might happen, you can actually put head protection. If you think, you can also make it so strikes to the head are not accepted if you're doing a striking art, and you can use more body protection, or you can do no contact techniques. Eventually, sometimes those things miss, someone hits, but you can actually, if you're afraid of head trauma in kids, all you have to do is say, hey, look, don't allow kids under 18, which is what they're talking about, to strike the head. Even with protection, it's not a good idea. But I won't go into that. There's other videos I have in here about that. Now, violence in children. One of the things they said is it promotes violence in children. And the thing I actually ask is, what evidence? Now, I actually found a couple articles. One of them is from the Wisconsin Medical Journal called Review of the Effects of Martial Arts on Health. Now, this is actually a review of articles, which means they found more articles than I was able to. I went on PubMed and I was just trying to do this quick, so that's why. And what they found is martial arts provides health promoting and meaningful exercise. That's actually a direct quote. Martial arts provides health promoting and meaningful exercise. They went on to tell us that the benefits include better overall health and balance, as well as an improved sense of psychological well-being. Now, I'm going to pause there for a second because I'm going to talk about two English-speaking nations, which I looked at English-speaking nations because it's easier to read the articles. Now, both of these countries, their medical associations, have actually said that obesity are at epidemic levels. The U.S., for instance, we actually have an obesity level of 36%. That means roughly you take three people, one of them is going to be obese, the other one may be slightly overweight. So we actually are getting a lot of people, we're getting more and more people who are obese. And this is actually not just a health concern, but it's an economic one too. As obesity goes up, we have to pay more for medicine, we have to pay more for hospitalizations, infections, days lost at work. We have a lot of different problems with obesity. Now, the other country that I actually found their obesity levels was Australia. Australia was at 60%, according to the Australian Medical Association. Now, I want you to think about it. These are two countries which are, not academically, I wanted to say economically stable. They are actually doing really well. We actually do have, in both of these English-speaking countries, major obesity epidemics. And some medical associations are trying to take away what researchers are finding promotes overall health and balance, as well as improved sense of psychological well-being. Now, we also have a problem with depression in a lot of countries, and again, this can actually help people feel better. Now, that's actually important, and so I'm actually looking at obesity and the health problems. Yes, there are other things we can look at, but right now, just looking at that, these medical associations are trying to remove something that is obviously something beneficial. Now, what about the violence among children being higher in martial arts? Well, this is actually, again, from the Wisconsin Medical Journal review of the effects of martial arts on health. This is a direct quote about martial arts. The quote is, martial arts, and there's actually a lot of stuff I took out, so I'll just tell you exactly what it says. It says, pretty much, martial arts do not promote aggression and may be used as a treatment modality for youth who are at risk of violence. I'm going to just repeat the last part. They may be used as a treatment modality for youth who are at risk for violence. So, while this country's medical association is saying it promotes violence in kids, what researchers are finding out is that it can be used to actually treat kids who may be inclined to do violence. Now, recently in the U.S., we had a school shooting. You had a kid who obviously was too violent. Well, what we're finding is, who knows? Maybe if schools had adopted a martial arts curriculum within them, it would have helped maybe. I don't know. I can't really say for sure. And I don't want to use it as a platform. Oh, hey, let's put martial arts in every school necessarily. But one of the things that we're seeing is it may be used as a treatment modality for youth who are at risk of violence. What I'm saying is it goes completely against what the medical association is saying. And so pretty much whoever put out the statement about trying to ban it really should step down and start reading medical journals rather than just talking because that's dangerous. Now, what else have we found? Well, one of the things that actually people forget is this. There's a lot of anecdotal stories of children with autisms, children with ADHD, children with communication disorders coming into martial arts and getting better. I mean, I think every martial art instructor has had a child with autism who pretty much got better. I know that I've had a couple, and both of them, their psychologists and psychiatrists said, it looks like your kid has it under control after not even that long, half a year, one of them. The psychologist said, it looks like he has everything under control. If he needs anything, he can come back, but really I don't see a point in coming in when he's doing well. Now, the other thing that happened, there was another article I found, and like I said, I found this pretty quick. All you have to do is go PubMed, put karate, and look at what different articles they have. And this is actually one of the articles I found. It was called The Effects of Karate Techniques Training on Communication Deficiency of Children with Autism Spectrum Disorder. Okay, so what they did is they actually looked at, is this actually helpful for people with autism? And this is actually one of the big things. They found that a 14-week course, in a 14-week course, they found an improvement compared to the control, meaning that 14 weeks of doing martial arts, if you think about it, 14 weeks is about, 14 divided by 4 is 4 months. Let's say 4 months would be 16. So about 4 months was enough to actually show a difference in the speech of people who are taking martial arts versus those who don't with autism disorder. Now, think about this. So far, we have all these people trying to find out, what causes autism? And they're not even paying attention to the articles that are telling you, hey, you know what, dummy? This can fix it. This can help your child. I don't mean that to be offensive. What I mean is, instead of looking for solutions for what can actually help their children, they're trying to find out what causes it. Here you have something that apparently science has actually said, articles are actually saying that it actually can help autism. The article concluded, by the way, that teaching karate techniques to children with autism spectrum disorder leads to significant reduction in their communication deficiencies. Pretty much what we're finding that there's a lot of benefits to having your child in martial arts. Now, I'm not saying that martial arts are for everyone or that every child will do great at it, but what I am saying is when we're looking at the research shows a big benefit in pretty much any martial art, especially for children. Now, the one thing that I would tell you is make sure the teacher who's actually teaching is respectable. Don't go to the guy who's going to be screaming at your kid and making him cry. That's not going to help your child. What is going to help him is when he's actually learning and being able to see that he's learning something. I actually am one of the people who tell my kids, it's like, okay, you learn something, teach it to your friends. I have no problem with them teaching katas and things like that to their friends. And I've had a couple of them who have, and a couple of them who said, well, it's hard to teach your friends because all they want to do is goof off. Well, that's the way it is, I guess. And that's not something that I actually want to change. I do want kids to be able to be kids. But the thing is, going back to the original point, you have a lot of these people who have a preconceived notion of martial arts, and rather than actually investigate it themselves, they just go with the ideas. They say what it is because they believe it. They pretty much go for that whole idea of common sense. They're so stupid that they just repeat what other people say because, well, someone said it and I've heard it 100 times. It must be true, even if all the evidence is against it. Now, people who are in charge of medical associations, who are spokesmen for this, have an obligation. It's an obligation for them to actually read the articles that are out. These are pretty easy for us to read. I mean, for me in the U.S., and I actually just go to PubMed. I have access to it because I'm a professor. But a lot of, these people who are in medical associations have that access too, have access to other ways, and should be reading these articles before they try to attack something. I hope you find this useful. I hope that if you have any friends or family who are looking for treatments for their kids, you might want to share this and show them, look, it's like this is what reports are actually saying. And if you're in a country that look at the Medical Association and see if they've had it put anything about ending combat sports. Because remember, combat sport can be range anywhere from Tai Chi to capoeira to technically fencing. If they are banned, you know, well, kids who actually could get benefit from this won't. Now, if you like what I do and want to support the channel, please feel free to. Actually, I have a couple books that you can buy. Off the Rails is the last one that I published, which is pretty much a train trip from Southern California up to Oakland. It does talk about going to different martial arts studios and getting a chance to train with them a bit. The Serious and the Rare Thing is actually the one that most people seem to enjoy. It's a trip to Okinawa. I hope you enjoy this. And the other one I have now is Serious and the Rarest Things, is in Spanish now, under the name Flor de Pitaya y las Cosas Más Preciosas. If you're a Spanish speaker and want a Spanish book, hopefully it's something you'll consider. They're all available on Amazon. Thank you and have a nice day.